Welcome to Understanding the Bible Part 5. I'm Paweł Stawarczyk, and today we would like to speak about literal understanding. This video is still work in progress. My language may be still more polished than polished. Please bear with me, sorry about that. But let's return to our present topic, which is literal understanding. Take a look at the story. The woman to the left calls a guy she just dated a weasel. The woman to the right takes the word weasel literally and misunderstands the message. A very common expression, give me a hand, if taken literally, results in a funny situation. The same goes for these two guys. Please have a seat, if taken literally, results in a funny situation. And funny it is because we do not take them literally, such expressions. And if somebody does, we laugh. So we laugh if someone takes it literally and bites the real bullet, because we don't mean that literally. Literal, it means exactly what it says. And there are many expressions, many things that we say, and we do not mean them literally. So people who insist on the literal meaning of such things miss the joke and become jokes themselves. Most of the jokes are exactly an interplay between literal and non-literal understanding of the word. So if we insist on literal understanding of every word and every expression, we will miss the joke many times every single day. Don't you roll your eyes at me, young man, will not be funny to anyone who insists on literal understanding of expressions. In fact, embarrassing or even bad things can happen if we take things literally all the time. Here a guy ordered on his back a dragon with some cool symbols underneath, and he got it, literally. These are examples of figurative language and literal language. Let's take a look at the first example. A blanket of white covered the sleeping forest. Let's see its literal explanation. There was a lot of snow in the quiet forest. So we have a blanket of white versus a lot of snow. We have the sleeping forest versus the quiet forest. Can you see the difference? Literal is down to earth. It is straightforward. It's matter of fact. Figurative is imaginative, descriptive, intuitive. There is nothing wrong with literal in itself. In fact, we need literal understanding when we use definitions, when we communicate in science, when we give instructions. But on many occasions, we need figurative language. When we, for example, would like to convey emotion as well as meaning, when it is easier to explain something, easier for the audience to imagine abstract facts. Sometimes it's just for fun to make life more colorful. There are many different types of figurative language. For example, we can say, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Or, don't let the cat out of the bag. Or, the smell of the cookies pulled me into the kitchen. Or, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. So easier communication is one of the reasons why we use figurative language. For example, if I say don't play with fire, I actually appeal to your imagination and I can say a lot of things with few words. When I say don't lose your head, I can say a lot using those few words and you know what I mean. Or when we say get your foot in the door. With figurative language, we can also easier express our emotions. So when I say to someone that I do this with a heavy heart, or ask someone to get off my back, our audience understands not only the factual information, but also our emotions. Sometimes it's just more fun to use figurative language. For example, try to call someone eye candy and then repeat the same using a factual, matter-of-fact definition from a dictionary. Or try to say I'm sick as a dog and then repeat the message using a dictionary definition. Now try saying this using factual, matter-of-fact, literal language. And then tell me what's more fun to say. I hope that by now you're sold on the usage of figurative language. Figurative language is used in storytelling. We tell a fictional story with a lesson. So in other words, a fable with a moral. We use fictional characters, and yet the message we convey through the story is very real and practical for our lives. The moral of the story would be much less appealing to our mind if we phrased it in factual language. An eventful story with characters and adventures has a much more effective impact on our brains, and we remember the solution better. The message of a story with a moral is understandable to both children and adults alike. A factual definition, not so much. Customer testimonials in marketing is just one example of present-day usage of stories. Modern, educated, technology-savvy people consider storytelling serious business and part of their training. Those stories, customer testimonials, have characters with faces, names, little background. The characters experience a problem, go on an adventure of solution seeking, only to find the true treasure. People are actually trained to create such stories. And why? Because they work. So to sum up, we use figurative language to convey emotion as well as meaning. It's easier to imagine abstract facts, and it is just more fun to say things like that. Smart communication means to understand when to use literal language and when to use figurative language. And yet people who consider themselves smart and modern regularly make fun of figurative language in the Bible. Over and over again we have to listen to jokes about the 7-day creation story, and the stories pointed out the major reason why the Bible shouldn't be credible, and yet the story is not meant to be taken literally. And they act so horrified when we point out that 7 days is figurative language. People make fun of figurative language in the Bible, insist on literal understanding, and they consider themselves smart and modern, but the joke is on them. So don't be like them and join us for more about number 7 in the Bible in next sessions. We will explain it even in more detail in the session on Genesis 1, 7 days. So to conclude, what would be your 3 most favorite figurative expressions in English? Mine is barking up the wrong tree. I love saying that. My personal favorite is bending over backwards. Nice. But my most favorite, absolutely personal favorite test is the following. This one. So now from the bottom of my heart, I would like to invite you to our next episode, Meaningful Numbers.